Hey, it's John Ziemba here, and I'm going to walk through the complete process on how to write a contract in DocuSign. First, start off by logging into agent.kw.com and entering in your MyKW username and password. Once you're logged in to KW Command, simply click on the big red MyKW in the top left-hand corner and we will get a pop-out that will show us what all these different applets are. We'll click on the Contacts applet, and then once we get to that screen, what we'll do is we'll start by adding a contact. This is the first step in the process. On the right-hand side, we will see an Add Contact button here that will allow us to add a new contact to command. So we're going to add a contact here, and I'm going to add some contact information for them. Keep in mind that the contact information that you add here does not auto-populate over into DocuSign. So it may make sense to just have it handy so that you'll be able to use it when you write a contract. So I just added in some basic contact information. I can always go back and add in more contact information at a later time. So I've added Betsy in. And then what I'll notice is that it comes back to the generic contacts page. So I'll just search by Betsy's first name. And one thing I'll notice is that this will get in the way, so I won't be able to see what's behind it. So if I click this up arrow here, it will allow me to find Betsy. I'll then click on Betsy. And now after I've created the contact and click into the contact, what I have to do now is create an opportunity. I come over here on Opportunities, I click on Create an Opportunity, and an important option here is where it says Opportunity Type. This cannot be changed. So if you put in the wrong one, you'll have to delete it and start over, as it will not show up in the sales pipeline. If I click on Listing, in this case I'm going to choose Buyer here, and if I know the address, what I will do is I will put in the address here. Okay, I can come down here. I can fill in this information if I'd like. It's not required. If I do fill it in, it will calculate things in my sales pipeline. In this case, since we're getting ready to write a contract, we're just going to put them in active and showing because we're getting ready to create the opportunity and write a contract. I click Create Opportunity, and what this will allow me to do is will allow me the way to access DocuSign. So after the opportunity has been created, you'll see that I'm on the contacts card, and I can click on View Details right here, because you can see I've on the opportunities. I click on View Details, and this will take me to the Opportunity Details section. Okay. Once I am here, what I will notice is that by default I'm in the Details section. I actually have to click on Documents now because I'm going to prepare the documents for the transaction. Okay, I should see a Start a Transaction option here. If you do not see that, then there's a chance that your DocuSign is not connected correctly. So you should come over here, click on the Settings, and then you'll have to scroll down. Sometimes it changes the order that it's in, but you'll have to make sure that your DocuSign account is connected. So if your DocuSign is not connected, then you want to follow the steps there to allow you to connect your DocuSign account. So we'll see the option here to start a transaction. What this is going to do is this is going to have us log in directly to DocuSign. Now this will be whatever email address that you signed up with. It is not necessarily your kw.com email addresses, whatever one you chose to sync with your DocuSign or when you created the DocuSign account. So what you'll notice now is that we're actually in DocuSign. And we'll notice at the top that there's two tabs now. We have DocuSign Rooms and then what it says over here, Command Documents. To get started, I like to start from left to right. So I'll come over to the left-hand side and click on Details. Now in this example, we will just be going through a purchase contract. So keep in mind on a purchase contract, the managing broker does not need to sign. If I have a document that the managing broker needs to sign, I want to make sure that I add the managing broker into the buying agent number 2 spot. This will allow them to be easily assigned in the transaction. So once I'm here, I'm going to click on Edit. And what I'll notice is on the right-hand side, what I will see are all the participants in the transaction. And in this case, what I'll have to do to go all the way down, you'll see I have the seller's information. The buyer's information is actually down here. So I'm going to put in Betsy Buyer, and we're going to put in a email and a phone number for Betsy. And I can add in the rest of this information, and depending on the document, it will auto-populate there. So for example, a buyer's brokerage agreement does require the address to be put into it. Now if I come down here, I want to make sure I add myself as buyer agent 1. And the more information I put here, the more information that will populate through the contract. Okay. Buyer agent 2 would typically be your managing broker, right? So you want to make sure you put in the name of your managing broker and then the proper email address for the managing broker. Okay. So I'm just going to come down here. So I put the buyer's information in, I put the both buying agents in there. And if you're on a team, only put the primary buyer's agent in there because they're going to be the one that's signing any document that needs to be signed. And you can add in any additional agents physically by typing them in the actual contract. Now in this case, I'm going to put in an address here so that it populates to the appropriate spots in the contract. Now notice that I'm only adding in the basic address information. I could add in more information. In this case, I'm just going to add in the basic property information, and I'm going to click Save. Now I've finished with the details. So I typically teach this as doing the details, the documents, and then DocuSign to envelopes. Do not currently worry about the people section. It will just confuse you because you will think that this is where you would add the people in the people section versus the details section. So we come over here to documents. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click on the Add button here. The DocuSign Forms will allow us to access all the board forms. If you haven't previously entered your NRDS number, you will get a pop-up here that will say, if you need to add or find your NRDS number, please click here. And you can follow that link to add your NRDS number to get access to all the Board of Realtor forms. So in this case, we're going to use Main Street Organization of Realtors, and we're going to type in multi for the multi-board 7.0 contract. In addition, typically we would have gone to the MLS and gotten disclosures. So we would just come over here, we would click Add from Computer, and then most likely in our Downloads folder, we should have a copy of disclosures if we've downloaded them properly from the MLS. So here I have as a group of example disclosures. I'm going to add them here because what you'll notice is that we have a PDF, and then we have right here we have a PDF, and then we also have a form. So what we would do is we would come here to the 7.0 contract. We would actually click on it right now. And this is where we want to make sure that we fill out the proper terms. So what we'll see is this is loaded, and I can add the information that I don't have, like the acreage from the MLS sheet, the PIN number, and all the different items that I would need to fill this out. Very important that I fill out as much of this at this point to allow for easy signatures later, and we won't have to add in any fields in after. So we would just go through the contract. We would add in all the appropriate information, and fill out all 13 pages as needed, and you can see it's filled out most of the information as I filled it in the details section. When I'm done, so what we'll see is after we're done filling out the contract, we'll hit Save and Close, and this will save any changes that we've made to this. Okay, so now what we'll notice is that we have two documents, and what we're going to do is we can either do one or two things. We can click Select All, that will select all the documents, or we can hover over each individual document and then select it individually. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually click over on the pen option that says DocuSign. And what this is going to do is this is going to create an envelope for us to assign the proper people to add signatures to this. Now, if you were doing a buyer's brokerage agreement at this point, you should create a separate envelope for the buyer's broker agreement and not put it in the same envelope that you put the multi-board residential contract in there. That's just the best practice. So when we come down to add participants, what we'll see is this option to click pre-tagged roles. So what we'll do is we'll assign buyer 1 over here to Betsy Buyer, and I click Add Selected. And then I'm going to add myself as a room participant because I may need to sign the radon disclosure here. So in this case, I'm going to make myself the buyer's agent, or select the role. Here I can do it up here or here, but I click Add Select, and then that will add me as number 2. So I'll get an alert once they sign it. So after I do this, I will then click Next. And what this will do is it will take me to the live documents in order to add or adjust any signatures that I need. Now keep in mind that a lot of signatures are optional on the on the initial contract, and that there's fields that have been placed there. You may need to remove signatures on the contract for the paragraphs that are not pertinent to your transaction. So I've already filled out the contract, and what I'll notice on the left hand side is that these are the different people that are in the transaction. So I have Betsy Buyer and Demo MC, which is the buyer's agent. So I can come through here and I'll notice that Betsy signs there, signs there. Now, you see how this is not a solid box? This is either a required or an optional field. And maybe I don't want them to sign it, so I can just come over here and select the field and then hit delete on my keyboard, and then that will delete it. That will allow me to make sure that there's no confusion of anything on this here. Now, if I haven't checked these, I could add checkboxes for my client to check. So if I just add a checkbox there, I click the plus sign, and then I can drag it over right over to this one. So I can check those. I can add as many checkboxes as needed. Or I could have checked them previously when I filled out the contract. So again, there's just places that the buyer can sign that we don't necessarily want them to sign, and we don't want to confuse them if those aren't pertinent to our contract. Don't forget that these are not checked, and that I could have checked them previously when I did, or I should add the checkboxes in here. Keep in mind that whoever gets the contract first, so for example, if I said Betsy is the primary person getting it first, that will be the person that will get the contract first. Now, I'm not going to go through and delete all these, but just be aware that you may have to do that. My next option, I would click send. Okay. So once I would do this, this would send the contract directly to the client for their signature, and then you would have it filled out. Once you get it back, you have a couple different options. Now, you do not need to create an envelope in order for this person to have it. And when we were at this page, we should set an order. So for example, the buyer one would do it first, and then maybe myself as the agent, I would get it second. This is something I forgot to do. So then I would click next. Here, I'm just going to show you one other thing that I missed. So we'll notice on the right-hand side are all the different pages of the, in this case, purchase contract. And as we go down, we will see that there's another disclosures PDF. Now, what we have to do is we have to add the signature boxes here, because by default they're not there because this was a PDF. So again, what we would do is we just come over here. We'll see Betsy buyer needs to sign here. I can easily add her signature fields right there, and add the date signed right here. So now understand that this date signed will get filled out when this signature is signed. And then I can just go through the rest of the pages here. So now I'm on the radon. So I can add the initials right here as needed, the signature for the purchaser, and in this case, because I have the agent needs to sign, what I would do over here is I would come over here and click on demo, and then I would click on add the signature and the date sign here. So now the agent will also have to sign on these documents. So I would get this all done, and then I would click the send button. So it would send it to the client first, and after the client signed, it would send it back to the agent here. And that's what we did by changing the order in which we did the signing process here. Okay. Now let's just say we got this all back because we will have sent it to the client. We will have gotten it back. We will then go to our documents. And what we will notice in the documents section is that we will have a third document here that will have a green symbol right here that will say signed. All I have to do is to send that to the other agent is simply click on here and then click on the email icon, and then that will allow me just to directly email it. So this is perfect for lenders and attorneys and so forth who don't necessarily need to do anything with them. They just need to get a copy of it. So that will allow the other agent to get the copy of the documents. So I think this is enough to get you through the whole process of creating a contract in DocuSign, and will allow you to fill it out. So good luck.